Hello, everybody. This is Pastor Willie, and this is the encouraging word for today. How can we hear God's voice? How does God speak to us? Where do we look? Where do we turn to hear God's voice? That's the question that we're going to look at this week in this video series entitled Hearing God's Voice. And this is part 1, Creation. You know, if you're anything like me, you are busy in your life. I mean, I talk to people who are retired and they tell me they're so busy. We live in an epidemic of busyness. Most days I have my routines, things I have to do, and I go through the day like one of those little animals, like those groundhogs or rodents, just scuttling back and forth with my head down, doing things, going here, going there. And I miss God's voice. God is all around us. God is everywhere present, and yet we miss his voice. One time, I was going through a very difficult time in my life. I was overwhelmed. I was just physically breaking down, emotionally, mentally. I was stressed out to the max. And I went to a counselor to talk about it, see what they would recommend. And one of the things they said to me, which was the best advice when I look back, was to take a few minutes every day just to stop and look at the sky, look at a tree, look at a flower, sit on a bench, look at a lake, look at God's creation. Because one way God speaks to us is through his creation. And we're going to start looking at Psalm number 19. And today we start with verse number 1. So hear what David says. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Wow. Proclaim, declare the glory of God. And yet you and I don't know about you, run around without even seeing it, without even noticing it. Excuse me. God's fingerprints are all over creation. If we would just stop and observe, God would speak to us through his creation. Have you ever had the experience of lying outside or sitting outside and looking up into the night sky at the universe? I can remember doing that in Honduras one time. You could see so many stars. It was a humbling experience. It kind of put me in my place, and I saw the majesty and the greatness of God. God spoke to me. I saw the power of God in creating something like that. His very presence was clear to me. Or if you just pick up a flower and observe how intricately it is designed and put together, and you can see through that God's care and God's concern and God's intelligence. It's just evident in looking at a flower. God is speaking. The heavens are declaring his glory. The skies are declaring the work of his hands. So I have an assignment for you today, and for me. Take 10 minutes and stop and look at God's creation. Even on a rainy day, look out the window and God will speak to you. So God bless you, and I will see you again tomorrow as we learn to listen to God through his creation. Take care.